And foremost, Sage Paperless Construction is an enterprise content management system. This system is used to capture, manage, and deliver documents related to your organization. Sage Paperless will maintain your documents as long as you need them in the system. And with Sage Paperless, you can now automate the receiving of documents, empowering your workflow as well as accountability. So let's go ahead and get an overview of the Sage Paperless system here on the next slide. So Sage Paperless is an on-premise solution that's going to live alongside your current Sage 300 CRE or Sage 100 contractor accounting system. Sage Paperless will interface directly with your accounting system to allow items to pass through each system in order to streamline your content management and approval process. With Sage Paperless, there are two main portions to the on-premise product: the AP Flow module for invoices and accounts payable documents, and the document routing module for everything else. Customers will typically get started with the AP Flow module as it shines in its ability to streamline your approval process. And then as you move each department onto Sage Paperless, it will become the filing system for all of your different departments to use. Sage Paperless is also cloud-enabled. We have web-based solutions to allow you to capture and approve invoices from out in the field. eCapture allows you to submit job photos, credit card receipts, and other documents directly into Sage Paperless. eForms allows you to create custom forms to capture valuable information, such as a safety form or safety checklist out in the field. ePortal is going to be the web portal for recalling all of these documents and approving them without having to come back into the office. Those are all going to live out on the web, and we will be showcasing the ePortal solution today, how we can access all of your documents from out into the field. But we also have a partnership with Abby to leverage their software solution, FlexiCapture. FlexiCapture is an OCR system, and what OCR stands for is optical character recognition, and that's going to be the technology that automatically reads your invoices and pulls in the information from it to alleviate that manual data entry. The more you use it, the more the system learns and adapts, making it very useful for those that need to process a magnitude of documents. So why go paperless? Sage Paperless allows for the digitalization and routing of any document type, which allows you to easily recall all of your documents at a moment's notice. In addition, Sage Paperless gives you visibility as to where each document is and for how long it's been there. So now we can see how long those documents have been out for approval. Sage Paperless will encrypt your documents and extend security rights from your accounting system as well. So if users don't have access to see sensitive information in your accounting system, they won't be able to see that information in Sage Paperless. Sage Paperless will add an additional level of security with the routing and approval rules. There's also a built-in audit tracking system that's going to allow visibility into every time a document is viewed or changed. And that strong integration between Sage Paperless and your accounting system is drastically going to reduce double data entry. But probably the biggest reason to go paperless is that if you ever wanted to get away from the manual data entry, you're going to want the ability to integrate with an OCR system, and the Sage Paperless solution allows for just that. So with optical character recognition, we can automate the capture and coding of those documents, and then as soon as they hit the paperless system, we'll automatically distribute them regardless of the document type. Excuse me. All right. So as I suggested, FlexiCapture is that OCR technology that will allow you to automate the capture of information from your guys' documents. FlexiCapture is a tried and true software that has been around for well over 10 years and now integrates with your Sage accounting system. So what you see here is a sample invoice with some common fields that you may want to capture. If you're familiar with OCR technology, you know that most systems are a zonal or template-based system. And what this means is you'll manually zone out each field location for each individual vendor's invoice. So if the position of these items change, you may need to hire a consultant to retrain that software. FlexiCapture is not template-based. FlexiCapture technology is designed to read the entire document and then recognize the different pieces regardless of where they're located. So first, the OCR system is going to identify what type of document it's working with and how many pages there are. It's smart enough to rotate those pages and separate several documents stored in a single file as well. The next step in the process is going to be data validation against your Sage accounting vendors. So if it finds something that doesn't match up, it'll give us a warning so that we can go check on it. Once this process is complete, it will go ahead and return a confidence interval based on the extraction process. For anything that's computer generated, we typically get a 90 to 95% confidence rate on the first run. And just because it's only 95% confident doesn't mean it didn't pull in everything correct the first time. We'll typically have, when we set up an invoice for you guys, for your vendors, we'll typically scan that 3 or 4 times with the different information on 3 or 4 of those invoices to make sure that we train that appropriately to handle any invoices in the future, and then it should be good to go. So now as your vendors send you different invoices and other documents, FlexiCapture can go ahead and automatically grab those documents, code them out for you, alleviating that manual data entry. And once the document hits your Sage Paperless system, we'll have those automatic routing rules kick in to distribute those documents to the appropriate people. Now just imagine changing your workflow to something more similar to that with that process entirely automated. And with that introduction, we'll go ahead and jump on into the software here today. So what you should see now is the Sage Paperless Construction System. First off, I'll show you the desktop here that we landed on. You'll notice in the upper right-hand corner, I have 65 notifications here, and you can think of those as documents that are awaiting my attention, whether for visibility or approval. On the left-hand side here, we have more detailed notifications that do correspond to those 65 up here. So if I jump into this top notification here, you can see I had a credit card receipt routed to myself. When I click dismiss, my 65 will then drop to 64, just showcasing that these are related. We do have some high-level information here as to all those AP documents that are currently unprocessed in the system. And down here below, we can see all of those that are currently out for review, whether they be the number of invoices or the dollar amount, and we can refresh this as necessary. Down below, we can see those queues that we currently have access to, whether that be the public AP queue, my personal queue, or other queues. All of that here from the landing page. So what we're going to be doing today primarily is we're going to be walking through the invoice lifecycle. We're going to talk about different ways to capture those documents, different ways to code the invoices out, different ways we can approve the invoices, and then that one final step before we push those invoices back into your Sage accounting system. So with regards to capturing invoices, the Sage Paperless system can capture invoices in a variety of different ways. We can obviously select from a file and pull invoices in that way, but we can also automate that process. So whether you guys utilize shared folders across your network or say a Dropbox or Google Drive account, we can actually scan that folder intermittently to go ahead and pull in all of the documents automatically. That way, when you come in first thing in the morning, all of the documents that are awaiting your attention have already been pulled in, and so they're just waiting to be processed. In addition, we can also drag and drop, which I'll be showing here shortly. We also have a print to paperless option as well. You may be familiar with a print to PDF, where we can right-click a document and turn that into a PDF. Well, we can right-click any digital document and print that directly into the paperless construction system, making it very handy for us to get documents in there as soon as they're received. So I'm going to go ahead and bring down the program here and bring it over to the right just a bit. And we're going to first go ahead and capture a document simply by dragging and dropping. So I have a document here on my desktop, and if you were pulling this directly from an email message, it would work the exact same way. We'll go ahead and hover over the program here, and you'll notice that my options change just a bit. We can create a batch of files to work with. We can split up multiple documents if they're all within the same file. We can push this to a queue, which we will be doing here shortly, or we can simply open the file. And I'll open the file here today, and I'll go ahead and enlarge. Notice we do get a nice preview of the document here on the reading pane. If the document were to come in upside down or sideways, we have some manipulation tools here at the top to go ahead and handle that. If I forgot my glasses today and we needed to get a better view here, we can zoom in to go ahead and see that invoice here. You can imagine if I were on 2 monitors today, I could have this one blown up on this monitor here, so it's really easy on my eyes, and then do everything else you're going to see today on the second monitor. However, since I'm only using one today, I should be able to make it work no problem. We also have some annotation tools down here on the bottom left-hand corner. So whether you need to make a redaction to a certain item or draw attention to a particular item, we give you the tools to make that happen. If it's part of your current process to include a sticky note on your invoices, we can accommodate that as well. And if you guys have stamps that you currently put on your invoices, such as an approved stamp, we can include that as well. You can load in your custom stamps, whether that be something you guys use often, or if you wanted to load in a signature, we can facilitate that as well. These annotations can be easily removed, and with the correct permissions, we can actually burn those annotations into the document. So first thing I want to do with this document is push it to a queue today, which will probably be your most common workflow. You can categorize your queues, but I'll go ahead and show you all the ones I have set up today. You can set those up for an individual, such as Dennis or Keith down here. I mentioned the Dropbox account that I have, so all of these Dropbox files will automatically get pulled in for me. So first thing I come in the morning, they'll already be there for me. You can set this up for different job sites, Northwest, A or B. If Ka'ahu were my HR manager, I may want to send all my HR related documents over to him. I have a queue set up for my OCR reader, so all of my documents in here are going to have some coding that's already done for me. But for today's example, we are going to push this to a public AP queue, which is going to be accessed by multiple AP representatives. I'm going to type in, this is a note here just to showcase that this is a notes field here. The handy thing about the notes field is it is going to take a time, date, and username stamp so that everybody down the line knows that I was the one that entered this document into the system, and there's no changing those notes in hindsight, which is the way we want it. So we'll go ahead and click OK here. At this point in time, we could continue to load additional documents into the system here and distribute those as necessary, but we're going to switch roles here just a little bit, and we're going to assume the role of the AP processor or whomever would be doing the coding of those invoices in your office. So when they come in first thing in the morning, they may land on the landing page that we brought you to first, but if they don't need to see this high-level information, we can simply hide this here, and they'll see this white landing page when they log on. First thing you want to do in the morning when you're going to be coding invoices is jump into the invoice entry screen. This is going to launch the AP Flow module, which you can see on the upper right-hand corner. I will note that I am logged in as the administrative user today, so I'm going to have access to more features than your users may be accustomed to, or that you may want your users to have. For example, under the users here, we do allow proxy access, which means that I can see all of the different users in the system here. So if we wanted to set up proxy access for when Justin is out of town, we can have a different representative access his queues as well. So just another option there for processing documents. I can look at the different queues that I have access to, whether that be my personal queue, the OCR queue, or any other queues that I have access to. We're going to jump into the public AP queue today, and notice if we sort by creation date, which we have, we'll have that invoice that we entered in the system just a moment ago come up to the very top. You'll notice the notes field that carried along with it, and we'll go ahead and click New Invoice to start to enter in that distribution. From the invoice entry screen here is going to be kind of our first showcase of that tight integration back to your accounting system. You'll notice some of these blue hyperlinks here for, say, the vendor or the invoice date and whatnot. These are going to be looking up directly into your Sage 300 CRE or Sage 100 contractor to pull that live list of vendors. So I can either click on that vendors link or use my F4 function key to look that up. And looking at the invoice here on the left side of the screen, I can see that this one is for A1 Electric. So if I just typed in ELE, that'll return everything from electric to elevators or even telephone there. We'll go ahead and select the correct vendor here. I'm going to go ahead and enter in the invoice number here today, and I'm first going to enter in an invoice number that I know already exists in the system, and you'll notice that we get a warning here letting me know that, look, we already have this invoice number for this particular vendor. Looks like it's already been exported. So first I'll take a peek at what the correct invoice number is. Looks like 4031, and then we'll go ahead and fill out the rest of the document. If we did want to get information regarding that invoice number that already exists, we can jump into the vendor history up here, and this is going to pull from your cash management and accounts payable to give you the list of those invoices that have already been processed. So this is searching both your accounting system and the paperless system to ensure that we don't double enter those invoices. With a quick search, I was able to find that invoice that was in question. Looks like, yes, it has been exported. Looks like back in January 2018. Nothing else that I need to do here today. I could get a preview of that document if I needed to. We'll go ahead and continue to fill out the invoice here. Looks like this one is for skylight work there. And we'll enter in the invoice date. If the invoice date were today or in this month, we could simply type in 1/1 tab for today's date, and it'll fill that in for me. Based on what you currently have set up for your AP vendor, we would go ahead and pre-fill in the due date as well as the discount date. We'll go ahead and enter in the invoice total for $100 there. And this is the point in the process where we would go ahead and determine how we're going to code out the different line items here. So from the drop down here, we can see the different options we have available. We could expense that directly to a GL account, or we could expense that to a job or a subcontract, or any other commitment for that matter. So first I'll show you job here, and you'll notice that the bottom section here does change based on what I select there. And again, I'll pull from my active jobs list here in my accounting system. We'll select the appropriate job for this example and any of this other information that we are aware of. If your users did not know this information here, such as the cost code or category, then we can facilitate that with the automatic routing rules. So as soon as this invoice looks good to go, we could go ahead and approve this. But if you didn't want your users to approve this invoice, we would simply take that button away, and then we'd route that invoice along to the next person in the sequence. So if some of this information, such as the cost code, category, or job, if any of that was blank, we could set up a routing rule to send those to the appropriate project manager based on what the information that we do have. Say you could set a rule up if the job were blank, we're going to send that to the owner because he knows exactly where all of these invoices should go. That's just one example there. So next we'll go ahead and we'll just clear this line here, and we'll add an additional line here for a purchase order. But I'll go ahead to my purchase order quick list here, which is really handy for getting information regarding your different commitments. So we'll pull in this purchase order here, and notice in the upper right hand corner I do get to see the total committed amount for that purchase order, the job cost to date, as well as anything that's unposted in our paperless, giving you guys that true variance there. Since I haven't fulfilled my entire commitment, we're dealing with one unit received for that $100. We'll go ahead and add that to the invoice here. From here, you'll see it went ahead and pulled in the purchase order for me. And if you know that purchase order number, then you typically know the job and the cost code and other information. So you can see how it pulled that in automatically for me. So you may imagine that when we send this along for approval or for review, the way that we currently do it is we may paperclip or staple some associated documentation to that, such as a copy of the purchase order. Well, all of that's going to be handled by our document match feature. So when I click the document match feature, you'll see a copy of the AP invoice here in just a moment, as well as all of the associated documentation. So because I went ahead and linked it to a purchase order in the last step, it went ahead and linked that purchase order to the AP invoice. You do need to get that purchase order into the system here, but it's very easy to do, and then it'll go ahead and automatically tie those together when they're selected in the last step. In addition, what we're doing here in the bottom left-hand corner here is we're running a search against other related documents, and such as other vendor documents. So say we also needed to attach a certificate of insurance, we can click this stapler icon here to go ahead and attach that certification of insurance. If it were part of your process to insert a receiving ticket to that as well, we could go ahead and attach those as well, no problem. So just wanted to showcase how we would attach those different documents to the AP invoice. We'll go ahead and close this here, and we'll go ahead and route this invoice along for approval. You notice I do get some validation results here, letting me know that it looks like some insurance is not compliant, the contract issued is not compliant. As long as you have these warnings set up already in your Sage accounting system, they are going to carry over into Sage Paperless. We can go ahead and waive those warnings here. as a soft warning there. We can set those up as a hard warning so that you can't approve those invoices unless you do have the appropriate information. But you'll notice it put that soft warning into the notes log, letting everyone know that I was warned and that I went ahead and waived that compliance warning. But you know what? In the last step, I went ahead and attached the insurance, so we should be good to go here today. From this screen here, we can get some visibility into the routing sequence. You can see at this level in the sequence here, we currently have this invoice routed to Ka'ahu, Keith, and myself here. We can also add additional reviewers on the fly with the appropriate permissions. So if one or multiple of us were out of the office for whatever reason, we could add Vic or Justin here to go ahead and approve that in our absence. I'll go ahead and cancel that, and we'll go ahead and route this along for approval. It will notify me that I'm a first level reviewer for this invoice, and if I'd like to approve, I'm going to select no, just so we can see that in the next step in the process. What the system is doing right now is it's jumping right into the next invoice here on our public AP list to facilitate that streamlined workflow. On the left here, you can see some more examples of some of those annotations that we have available. But before we move on, I did want to showcase one other feature about this invoice entry window. If we go ahead and enter in the particular vendor as well as the invoice number, I'll just type in a random invoice number there. I just want to showcase that this window here is built for speed. And what I mean by that is, using the lookup windows, we never need to move our hands from the keyboard to the mouse, which has been a request for us. So if we wanted to look up the particular vendor, we simply use the lookup function and then search as necessary. And then as we tab across to the different fields, it facilitates that streamlined workflow, including filling in that due date and discount date. If I press the alternate key on my keyboard, you'll notice that the approve invoices have shortcuts such as Control A, route invoices Control R, and so on. And we can actually jump in here and customize the entire window here, so all of these different items can have shortcuts that you get to label. If we go down here, we can see that we can also add additional line items by just pressing F7 or F8 as appropriate. So just wanted to showcase that this is built for speed, and once you get used to those shortcuts, you'll be able to knock out those invoices really, really quickly. All right, so we're going to go ahead and switch hats here just a little bit, and we're going to switch over to the role of the reviewer or whomever would need to see those invoices and approve them. So just like before, they may need to see this overview window here with all the high-level information as to what's going on in Sage Paperless. Otherwise, they'll just see this logo when they come in. So first thing your reviewers will want to do is jump into the Approve Invoices window here. And this is going to launch two windows for us. First window it's going to launch is the Approve Invoices window, and the second window is going to be the Document Match. So from this window here, we do get some visual indicators right away. You'll notice that some of these items are blue and some of them are going to be red, and some will be black as well. If they're blue, it's going to indicate that they're within their discount date, which means if we jump right on that, we may have the ability to save some money there. The red ones are going to indicate that we are past our due date, and so we may be on the hook for some late fees there. So when reviewing these invoices, we're going to want that associated documentation that came along with it, and that's where that document match feature comes in. So it did come up automatically, nothing I need to do, to have these documents available right at my fingertips. So that certification of insurance, the purchase order, and the receiving ticket that I had attached in that last step carried along with it so that it's available here for any of the reviewers to access those documents. From here, if we did need to make some changes to the invoice, we can simply click the Edit Invoice button down here on the lower right-hand corner, and that will allow us to do things like add additional lines, change the line item types, and anything else that needs to be edited on the invoice. If you did not want your reviewers to be editing the invoice, we would simply take this Edit Invoice button away, and then the workflow would be to go ahead and reject the invoice and let the AP processor know what needs to be changed, and then they'll be able to make those changes and then route it along for approval once again. We can place that invoice on hold, and we can also get some high-level invoice information. So say we needed to call the vendor, we can give them a quick call right from here. You have all this information available back in your accounting system, so no need to go look that up. We have it right here at our fingertips. We can also see the other reviewers that are available for approving that document here, as well as the AP processor that worked on that invoice initially. So from here, we'll go ahead and approve the invoice. But before I do that, I want to show where you can access these invoices from out on the web. So we're gonna back up here just a little bit, and what I'm going to do is pull up a window here that's going to have our ePortal application. So from the ePortal application, you'll notice I'm just logging in here from an internet browser here. We'll go ahead and sign on in as it remembers my credentials here. Now I'm going to draw your attention to the left side of the screen here, and you'll notice we have three different options, one for invoices, one for documents, and then one for document routing. If we jump into the invoices here, I'll see all of those that are available for my user, and then we're going to scroll to the bottom of this list. Now you'll notice this invoice at the very bottom here, this 4031, is the same one that we were working with just a few minutes ago. It has already synced up here. It usually only takes about 20-30 seconds after that invoice is created for it to be available on the ePortal. We'll go ahead and jump into the details here of that invoice, and from here we can see all of that header information that I entered a few minutes ago, as well as the different line items. From here, we can make edits to the line item detail, whether we need to change the purchase order or the job that information has been coded to. All of this, again, pulling from your accounting systems. We'll go ahead and close this here. And then you can also see all of the associated documents that were attached as well. So whether you needed to see a copy of that invoice, that certificate of insurance, the receiving ticket, or even a copy of the purchase order, all of those documents are going to be available for view here in the ePortal as well. Drawing your attention back to the left-hand side of the screen, we'll go to the Documents tab here. And from here, we can see all of the different documents that we have available in the system. I went ahead and synced every single document type up just for demo purposes. But if there were a document type you didn't want to sync, we'd simply turn that off. If I wanted to jump into, say, my 401k enrollment forms, that'll give me a list of those documents. From here, we can view those forms to go ahead and download and distribute them as necessary. I'll also scroll down here to the different job photos just to show that we can access our job photos from here as well. And we can go ahead and view those job photos, download, and distribute them as necessary. One thing I also wanted to showcase while we're on this site is that since we are accessing a web page here, this site is built with responsive design. And what I mean by that is if we were to use this website using a cell phone or say an iPad, the screen's going to adjust to the screen real estate available. So here you'll notice I'm accessing it now from a cell phone, and everything gets a little bit more friendly for the device that I'm using. You'll notice that sidebar has been collapsed and that we can view all of this here using our touchscreen and a finger. You'll notice that this table view isn't super handy on a cell phone, which is why we give you guys a card view as well to make it much more user-friendly. From here, we can jump right into one of these invoices here to get all of that same information we had before, and we can scroll down to see all of the associated documents as well as the different line items here. And we can go ahead and approve that with one click of the button to go ahead and approve those different invoices. I will go ahead and jump back into our desktop view today just to take full advantage of the screen real estate, but just wanted to showcase that this does have a responsive design for whatever device you may be using. All right, so jumping back to the left-hand side here, we're going to jump into the document routing, and I'm going to jump into my inbox here. The document routing is going to be for all of those documents that needed to be routed around for visibility or approval outside of the invoices. So one example of a document that would need to be routed for visibility and approval would be a PTO request or a vacation request. So if I jump into the details here, we can see that this vacation request form has been routed to myself to go ahead and approve. I can see the different people in the sequence here that need to approve that document, as well as a copy of that PTO request form itself. If everything looks good to go, I can go ahead and release this, and now Billy can go ahead and take his vacation time. So just wanted to showcase the different features of the ePortal here, the invoices, document, and document routing abilities. We'll go ahead and minimize this back down and jump back into the software here today, and I'll go ahead and close a couple windows just to clear that up. So at this point in the process, we've talked about different ways to get invoices into the system. We've talked about different ways to code those documents out, whether they be just simply to a GL account, costing that to a job, or even a purchase order. I've shown you two different ways that we can approve those documents, one from on-premise and then one from out anywhere that you have an internet connection. Now, there is one final step before those invoices get pushed back into your accounting system. All that's going to be handled by the invoice manager. So the invoice manager is going to be run by either your controller or your accounting supervisor, whoever would need that final review of invoices before they get pushed into your system. From the upper right-hand corner here, we can go ahead and toggle to see every single invoice that's currently in the system, whether that be approved, do not pay, exported. But we're going to jump first into the pending tab here. And this is going to give me access to all of those different documents that are currently awaiting approval. So every single document you see here, I know there's a lot of red. We're dealing with some demo data here, so hopefully this would never be the case. But we could sort this, say, by due date or invoice date, and then see those that are latest on the list here. We could also sort that by processor to see who the different reviewers are, to see who isn't pulling their weight. We have all of our familiar tools here on the right-hand side. We can override approval from here for one of the invoices, see the different reviewers. We can edit the invoice and see those high-level invoice information. But we also have one other tool here, which I did allude to in the beginning of the presentation, and that's going to be the audit trail. So if I jumped into any of these invoices here and clicked View Audit Trail, the system is going to generate a report for me. So in the background, we are keeping track of every single time an invoice is opened, closed, modified, or any of those line items are changed. So there's never any not knowing of what's going on with your documents. We can always look back in time to see what's going on. So whether you're dealing with this document, just yesterday, a month ago, or looks like this document was accessed March of 2018, we're going to have information as to what was going on with that document. You can see here I have 6 pages of information for this one particular document. This is exactly what auditors want to see in the event that your company does experience an audit. This is the type of information that they want to see. So from here, the next step in the workflow would be to go ahead to this upper right-hand corner, and let's go to the Approved tab. And from here, we're going to see all of those invoices in the system that have been fully approved. So I do currently have 4 invoices here that have gone through the entire approval process, so I can be confident that these are ready to be paid. So we can select one of these documents or multiple to go ahead and export into our accounting system, and then it will allow us to select an accounting date for that. So if we needed to push that into an open period or a future period, we can do so right here. In 100 Contractor, those invoices are going to be immediately available. When you push those into your 300 CRE, there is just one step on the other side, and then we'll be able to process those invoices no problem. So go ahead and close this here. So we have gone through the invoice lifecycle here, from capturing the document, coding it, approving it, and then pushing it back to your accounting system. Next, I wanted to showcase some of the document routing abilities within the system. So to showcase that, we're going to route around a document for visibility and approval, and we're going to select a PTO request for this example. So I'm going to pull this PTO request here off my desktop and hover over the program like before. We have those same options here. We can route that around for approval or visibility. We can split it up if there's multiple documents. But this time we're going to go ahead and route that to a different person today. So we'll simply open it up here, and now we're going to click this Quick Route button, which is going to allow us to route that to different individuals. It's letting me know that this has not yet been indexed, and if we'd like to index the file before routing, this is important because non-indexed files are non-searchable, which would totally make sense. You can search for non-indexed files, and we can work through that list, but we'll go ahead and index this file today. First thing we need to do is tell it what kind of document we're working with. So if we can set those up in different categories, but I'll just show you all the categories I've set up today. So I've only added a couple different documents and modified it. So just about all of these documents here are going to come right out of the box. You can see, I believe there's over 100 documents that come with the system here. And with the full version of the package of the program, you can actually create your own document types, and so you can add as many as you'd like, and you can actually edit the existing ones as well. So whether you guys used a PTO request form or say you guys called it a vacation request form, we can facilitate your nomenclature very easily. Down here, you'll see the different index values for these documents. With the full blown package, you can also create your own index values, and you can edit the ones that are existing. There are many index values that jump back to your 300 CRE or your 100 accounting system, so we can apply those to any new document types that you may want to add. We get some visual indicators here as well. You'll notice some of these items here are bolded here on the left-hand side, and some of these fields on the right-hand side are going to be highlighted in green, which lets us know that there's an ability to look up. So if we wanted to look up the employee number here, we'll go ahead and press our F4 key to do so. And let's say that this PTO request form here is for Don Swanson. We'll pick him, employee 101. We'll go ahead and click OK. You'll notice that since I already have the rest of this information back in our Sage accounting system, it went ahead and pre-filled in the information, such as the first name, last name, and the social security number. I will go ahead and enter in the document date today. I'll use today's date, which is the 11th of March, 2019. And then we'll go ahead and index this document here. Now, I will let you know that I do currently have an automatic-based rule for the indexing to send all vacation request forms to myself. So when I click index here in just a moment, I want you to keep an eye on this notifications up here, this 64, as well as the bottom right-hand corner, which will let me know that I have new documents waiting my attention. So I'll go ahead and click index there. And then in addition to the automatic routing rules, we also have the ability to send this to users on the fly. So I can include a subject line here, any notes associated with that, and then go ahead and select the different recipients. We do have a certified DocuSign integration so that you can have certified signatures as well. You notice it just ticked up from 64 to 65. I'm not sure if you saw the notification down there in the bottom right-hand corner. But just wanted to showcase that the automatic routing rules are going to be in addition to being able to route this to an individual. I'm going to select cancel here just to showcase where we're going to pick those up here on the next slide. So now we're going to launch the document routing module, which we can do so from right here. And that's going to launch the document routing here on the right-hand side in just a moment. Excuse me. All right. I am having just a bit of latency here on the program, so while that's working, what I want to do here is jump back into the ePortal solution that we had earlier. I'm going to go ahead here and refresh this page here, and it's just going to showcase where that ends up here, but I think we're holding on that for the same reason. Bear with me here just a moment. Okay. We're going to go ahead and restore the program here. Bear with me, guys, just a moment. I do appreciate everyone's patience, and this is how you know that these demonstrations are being given live here today. So we're going to pick up right where we left off here with the document routing. So notice when I clicked the document routing button here, we did have the document routing module come up here on the right-hand side. We had sent out this PTO request form here for Don. And notice it is available here for me to view in my inbox, and I can go ahead and release this or route it to another individual if necessary. We have all of the associated documentation, so if we needed to include additional associated documentation, we could do so from right here. And we can also send those, we can see the different notes as well as the different people in the routing sequence directly from here. So at this point in time, I am going to jump back into the ePortal, and we're going to refresh this page here. And we should be able to see that Don's PTO request here immediately available. Didn't take very long at all. So now I can access this document that's been routed to me from anywhere that I have an internet connection using the ePortal. I can jump into the details here to see a copy of that PTO request that I pulled in, all the different reviewers, any notes associated with that, and then I can go ahead and release this for approval, and now Don can go ahead and take his vacation time. So just wanted to showcase how immediately available these documents are in the ePortal immediately after we route them. Usually only takes about 20-30 seconds there. So jumping back into the Sage Paperless Construction system, from the document routing module, we can also see those documents that we've sent out for approval and any of those that are awaiting approval, whether they've been completed. We can also recall those documents as needed. So high-level overview of the document routing module, basically used for routing non-invoice documents for visibility as well as approval. All right. So next thing I wanted to show in the program were some of the different reports in the system. This Sage Paperless Construction system does come with over 50 pre-built reports. These are Crystal-based reports. So if you have someone in your office that's familiar with SAP Crystal, they can create their own document types or their own reports, and they can also edit the reports that we have available here as well. So one report that I do like to show is our AP unapproved invoice aging by reviewer, which is going to show us all of those invoices that are out for approval and for how long they've been there. So for example, if I looked at Justin Quartermain here, you'll notice he currently has 28 invoices that are out for approval, 9 of which have been out for over 120 days. Now, again, this is some demo data, so hopefully this would never be the case. But if it were, we could drill down into those 28 invoices here to see exactly what's going on to comprise those. From here, we could drill down a step further to go ahead and see any of the associated documentation. That's a bad example here. Let's jump into a different one. And you'll notice that from these invoices here, we can see all of that associated documentation. So if we had attached a purchase order, the receiving ticket, or that certification of insurance, all of that would be readily available here. We can jump back to this level here that has those 28 invoices on it, and we could email this document directly to Justin and letting him know that, hey, you got invoices that you need to go approve. Let's go ahead and take care of those so we can get some people paid. So just being able to notify your users directly from the report, very handy. Another report here that I'll show is our top vendors report, which is a handy report for getting information on who we do business with the most. So let me jump into this report here. Okay, one moment. I'm going to try this real quick. So it does seem I'm experiencing a little bit more latency here today. I'm not totally sure what's going on with that, but I do appreciate your patience while I work on this just a moment. Okay, go ahead and reduce this down. I'm going to go ahead and try to relaunch my demo environment. I do appreciate your patience while I do that. We should be back in just one moment. All right, going to pull it back over now. Seem to be operational now. So yeah, we're going to show you that top vendors report. So I'll go ahead and generate that right now. And this is going to show you all of those vendors that we do work with the most, whether that be by the number of invoices or the dollar amount on those invoices, or even those individual line items. So handy for seeing who we do business with the most. So If you have any questions on the reports, feel free to let us know. Next thing I wanted to showcase in the system is the search utility. So we've talked about getting different documents into the system, and just wanted to showcase the search utility as, in my opinion, it's the best way to get documents out of the system. So from the search tab here on the upper left-hand corner, if we wanted to search every single document type in the system, we can do so by clicking all document types and search. From here, we can pare this list down a bit further by clicking just those document types that we want to see. We can categorize those document types from here as well to get just those documents that we want to see. We can also pare that down further by the individual index values here on the bottom left-hand corner and include any of those values, as well as doing keyword searches. If all of this is a bit much for you, we can set up saved searches as well. So from under the Browse tab here, if I just wanted to see AP documents, I can do so with just one click. And then I can pare that list down further. So if I only wanted to see credit card receipts, AP invoices, or purchase orders, I can do so with just one more click. Or if I just wanted to see AP invoices from one particular vendor, it's very easy to set that up. In fact, if I wanted to see an AP invoice from just a different vendor, it's as simple as right-clicking on this item, new child root. We're going to say AP vendor name, look that up, and say we just wanted to see A1 electric invoices. We'll go ahead and click OK. And now I have a saved search here for just those AP invoices from one particular vendor. From here, if I highlighted over a particular item, it should give me a preview of that document here, so I don't even need to open up that document to see what it looks like here. Similarly, if your project managers only needed to see their project management related documents, such as purchase orders, they can do so from here. We can select one or multiple of these documents to go ahead and distribute those, whether we want to save them to a file, email them, or print them out, and then distribute them as necessary. No need to save that there. All right, so also wanted to showcase the check review process here today. So we'll go ahead and jump into that. From the check review module, we can review checks and empower your check signers to be completely paperless. So whether you guys pay those electronically or you actually have that check number range sitting out on your desk, it's pretty much the same process. We'll select the appropriate account here, and then we'll select the check number range here. Oh, I select the wrong account there. Go ahead and select the account here, and then the appropriate check number range. Oh, that wasn't very friendly. Bear with me here just a moment. We'll try that once again. All right, let's try that once again here. We're going to go back into the check review module so we can showcase how we can make your check signers paperless here as well. We'll go ahead and jump into the appropriate account here. Okay, I liked it that time. We're going to go ahead and enter in the check number range. We're working with 24450 to 24500. We'll go ahead and retrieve that check number range here. Oh, it's not pulling it in. We'll go ahead and just retrieve all those checks today. And these are going to pull from your accounting system here as well. So if I scroll down with this check number range here, and I'll grab one, let's say this 24453. So from here, we can see the invoices that are used to pay that check on. It may be the case that you pay all of your vendors just once a month. So if you got multiple invoices for that check, you would see all of those invoices listed here. And the big piece with the check review, in my opinion, is that document match that we had been talking about throughout the presentation. So down here, all of the different associated documents for those particular invoices are going to be right here at our fingertips. So if we had multiple invoices here, they're all going to be listed, and based on which invoice we select here, it's going to show us the actual copy of the invoice, It's going to show us a copy of the AP check that's used to pay that invoice off, as well as any other associated documentation, such as the associated purchase order or the receiving ticket, or if you took a job photo of the materials when they came on site, it could be part of your process to attach that as well. So then your check reviewer here can actually see a picture of the materials that they received as they're signing the check, really making the entire process paperless. We can also see the different reviewers, the people who approved that invoice. And, Justin, if he were pretty good about approving those invoices, then we would know that we're good to go here. I can go ahead and sign that check. We also have a list of the notes log here down below. So anytime we waived those compliance warnings, those would all be compiled here in the notes log as well, available for the check signer to have at their fingertips when processing those documents. Okay. So that is just about everything that I wanted to show here today. We do also have the ability to do AP accruals. Basically, you would just select the cutoff date, the minimum invoice amount. We can include rejected invoices if you'd like. And on the next step of the process, we would simply select the accrual account and a reversal date to pull those back out, allowing you to run those accurate financials. So like I said, that is just about everything I had to show you guys here today. I am going to go ahead and jump back into the PowerPoint slide here for just a moment. And so I wanted to thank everyone here for joining me today. You were all able to see today how the Sage Paperless Construction System will save you guys time, primarily by eliminating that chase for those documents that you guys are looking for. There is kind of a setup period where you guys are going to get used to it, but then you'll find that when you recall those documents that, you're looking for that one particular invoice for that one particular job that you did a couple years ago. Well, now you know that Sage Paperless Construction is going to have a copy of that document for us. And that's really going to improve your productivity when you have your easy access to those different documents. Now we don't have any question as to where that AP invoice is, when it's out for approval. We know that it's probably sitting on Justin's desk. We can go bother him, and then we can get back to our day-to-day work. We will reduce the paperwork and administrative overhead by switching to an electronic-based document storage system. And, we have reports from our customers that they were able to take back their filing room. They had entire rooms dedicated to filing cabinets for storing their different project-related documents. And since moving to Sage Paperless Construction, they were able to eliminate those storage requirements, enabling them to free up some space to use for better activities.